Hello everybody! Welcome back to the LJL Official Unofficial stream. I am your host, Alex, otherwise known as Alex Goodbye Master on the internet, and I am joined by the delightful Hapgood brothers, Initialize and Nymera. As I say always, introduce yourselves.
It is a pleasure to be here with functioning tech. Yes! Congrats, thank you very much, Master. You killed it, buddy. Well done. You got it all functioning again.
Don't kill him.
Don't kill
For the
him.
moment.
He needs to live.
It's a real pleasure to be here. We saw a pretty interesting first series V3 coming out on top over not Rascal Jester, Axis, I apologise. Because Rascal Jester will be playing in this series versus Crest Gaming Act, and I'm very excited to see all that.
Oh, we got the alarm! Hey, it's like part of this was all over the place.
Power nap before coming on, and that was my time to wake up. So
You would have been late, is what you would have been.
I would have been late. I am not. I am alive. I am here, and I'm more awake than ever. I'm kind of alive, but I am awake now for this series. Really looking forward to it. I think this has the potential to go the entire distance. We talked about it on the podcast. I think that this is going to be a very interesting game to watch, and we're going to keep using that word because there are many adjectives we can use. But the amount of trying to pair up the mismatches between these teams and figure out where all the pieces land is going to be a bit of poetry in motion, I think.
Yeah.
This is definitely going to be an interesting game. CGA facing off against Rascal Jester. Now, these two teams, again, their history is, well, it paints a different story between what we saw between Axis versus V3 from my memory. If I'm right, Rascal Jester currently a 2-0 against Crest Gaming Act, which raises some questions going into this matchup, right?
So, they faced back in week 1 of the LJL. That was when Aria picked up his Kiana, was super fed, but he was the only person that was doing well on his team and eventually just couldn't overcome the carry potential of Art, who was backed up by a Soraka mid at that point. It was one of Ninja's better games too, actually.
That's true.
Survive a very fed assassin on the Soraka mid, in which we very much praised them for. And this was kind of in the period of time where we thought that Rascal Jester might make a shoot towards the upper end in the standings. Didn't quite work out that way at that point in time because they ended up having a bit of a rough mid-split. Come to week 6, though, that was when they played for the second time.
They did.
And that was when Aria got hugely fed on his Silas. He built a Medjai's, and it came down to a single late-game team fight where a Blitzcrank had a great
support
silence
difference.
And then then the Azir, which Ninja was playing, ended up coming up pretty huge, alongside Art as well, who had a very good game as well. And
very good.
Arguably, this should be a 1-1 record, but because of that one late-game team fight, it is 2-0 to the side of Rascal Jester, finishing the split 7-7 for CGA, coming through a tiebreaker at 5-9.
Yeah, and 1-1 feels about appropriate for this particular matchup. It is so hard to call one way or another. We were looking over, or one of the guys we were talking to was looking up some stats and like off the percentages and stuff he's been running. He reckons about 55 in favour of Rascal Jester, 45 in favour of CGA. Like, that is damn tight on that. Personally, I think it will be a 3-2 series, and I'm not entirely sure which way. I'm edging Rascal Jesters, but
I've got faith in Vivid, right? As a support main and myself, I always look at it and I'm like, well, support won it last time. Just rely on Vivid, Hachimecha having an incredible game. Remember, this is a Rascal Jester who had an almost perfect game against Sengoku, our second-seeded team. This is a Rascal Jester that is not the same Rascal Jester they faced in week 6. This is a Rascal Jester that is proving themselves. And what better competition than the Church of Aria in that mid lane?
Praise be to him.
He is so good. Like, there are very few ways to explain how good this is. Like, some of his stats are just insane. Like, he is at something like ridiculous. Like, his kill shares like at 37%, the next highest mid laner in the league. It's got 25% kill share. This is how that's how much this team relies on him. His DPM is probably one of the highest in the league. His GPM is the highest in the league. Like, there is nothing this guy can't do. It feels like
it does feel like that.
Yeah, he has the highest GPM of all mid laners, highest kill share of all mid laners, highest kill participation of all mid laners, highest KDA of all mid laners. The only thing really which is notable that he's not on top of is the unique champions played, and even then he's second in that. Second only to Ninja, who he's facing today, who has 12 unique champions picked. It's going to be a whole menagerie.
You
of
can't
strange
ban
things.
mid lane. That's just not a thing that's happening here.
But the scary thing is, you still have to, because his LeBlanc is godly and his Zoe is also godly.
But Ninja's LeBlanc is great as well.
I think that I still think you have to ban it away from Aria, because if that thing makes it through first pick or second round, then Aria will just carry games. We've seen him get quadra kills on that pick. That being said, I think looking at the tiebreaker from CGA, it became not just the Aria show for that game. Actually, we saw Ganko once again kind of retrieve some of his form. I think that if CGA go towards the like of Zaya Rakan again, this could be a very good game again, because actually Grendel performed pretty well on that pick as well. This draft is going to mean a whole lot for these teams, because if it just does come down to just Aria again, Rascal Jester has shown that they are a consummate team. Art has played very well. Ninja closed out the split in very strong as well. Could be a very interesting series.
I also want to call out a couple of the rookies on CGA. It's all well and good saying Arya is looking good, and he damn well is. There is no doubt about it. Yoshi, Grendel are two players we've had serious questions about. Yoshi has looked better towards the end of the split. I think it's Jarvan,
especially in that tiebreaker game.
In that tiebreaker match particularly, he looked really good. But we've had questions about his impact early, questions about him getting caught out early.
Hachimecha knows about that though.
He does, and Hachimecha is very good at reading opposing junglers. He, I think it was...
Well, week 7 against Sengoku.
Yeah, he just went deathless, right?
505.
Yeah, he did some amazing stuff on particularly the Rec side.
Yes.
It was 2 games of Rec side, right?
It was back to back.
2 games of Rec side where he went completely deathless. And some quite tough comps to go deathless, I know that. For Grendel, Gango's been put on Callista duty with Fate's Call. Defensive Fate's Call duty, not aggressive Fate's Call.
Well, that was on the Nautilus, right? Protecting the Nautilus.
And even then, Grendel has got, I think he's got a KD of 1.95 as far as I remember. Like
he's got the lowest in the league, besides Apperman, I think.
Yeah.
But Apperman plays a different game to basically everybody, so we go like that against Apperman.
And KDA is not the be all and end all. It's really not. But that statistical fingerprint is a worrying sign. And when you're coming into playoffs, when it's higher intensity again, and you're against a team with as much experience as the Jesters, like these guys are veterans of years upon years, this could be a challenge for them, and I worry about it.
Which is why I'm going to add the caveat, just one more caveat.
Alright.
Tiebreaker, only one person to die in the tiebreaker was Yoshi, and that was one death. Grendel went deathless. Very huge stat.
We'll find out how these teams do fare up as we do go into our first game of round 1, match 2.
Yes.
Game 1.
There you go.
Rascal Jesters facing off against Crest Gaming Act. Rascal Jesters are going to be on the blue side and CJ is going to be on the red side as they have that priority going into this. So we'll have to see how that plays out as we are a blast from the past. I will count us in for our first game of the fourth game of the day. God, it's been a wild ride so far. In 3, 2, 1. Good luck to both these teams.
Thank you again, Mass Swan. Always a pleasure to have you hosting us and producing us, no less. And we are into game 1 of Rascal Jesters versus CGA. And of course, Rascal Jesters are on the blue side this time around. They did get side selection. That's the way they chose to go. It's Cog in the top lane, Hachimecha in the jungle, Ninja in mid lane, Art and Vivid as support.
And on the red side this game, but wearing the team colors of blue, in the top lane it's Nap, in the jungle it's Yoshi, in the mid lane producing his sermon on the mount is Arya, and in the bot lane it's Gango and Grendel.
And some bans coming through already. What a surprise! Rascal Jester have banned away LeBlanc and Zoe. Cannot give those two super safe blind pick mid laners over to a man as monstrous as Arya. Ezreal, Tom Kench taken away from Art and Vivid, who have abused those picks pretty well.
And this is partly why I said I would like to see LeBlanc and Zoe banned away from Arya. It opens up the rest of the champion pool, which we know these guys to have, right? I think that Ninja works in some of the more slightly esoteric matchups, some of the things which are a little bit less well-defined, because he knows his own champions pretty well. Arya, on the other hand, like if he gets his hands on these two primary ones, makes things very difficult. The bans are now completed, though.
Yeah, and I do want to call out that last ban before we cut the first pick of the all over for Rascal Jesters. Callista is a really nice takeaway from CGA because it exposes Grendel that little bit more.
Yeah.
You did call out Azira Khan as an option for that team, and I wonder whether they go towards it. But
I would really
Callista, because of her flexibility at the minute and the predilection, the disposition of CGA to kind of use that to hide Grendel's positioning weaknesses sometimes, I like that ban away.
Okay, so actually Gengar's going to go towards Varus, which is not that pick. It does give some initiation, some playmaking from the bot lane, but there's still there are some questions to be asked about what Grendel is going to lock in alongside that. Probably won't be the support alongside that right now. Maybe they want to save support counterpick. They are on the red side. They can save counterpick for whatever they want. It's at least locked in for Yoshi though. So early game is the name there for the jungler.
It is, and that's a statement from Yoshi. We've had questions and called him out on some of his early game performances. This is a champion to prove to us that you know what you're doing in that early game, and that's an aggressive first pick. I kind of like it here. It's showing a mindset coming into this I approve of from CGA.
It does. It also opens up the likes of something like a Pantheon or a point-and-click kind of stun to lead into the Elise. On the other side, they don't want to be dealing with this early game shenanigans stuff. It's going to be the Olaf, a bit more of that mid-game romper. And the Aphelios had slipped through the ban list. It is something which we haven't seen too much of actually be able to be picked on the Rift on this patch in particular. It's locked in for art.
Yeah, and Elise Cocoon only does so much, and when you got Ragnarok cleansing all that from you, the Spider Lady can get run down a bit in the jungle sometimes as well.
Absolutely.
So that could end up a bit funny.
Renekton Elise.
Renekton Elise is the combo though. You
dive
know how
combo.
that works.
Absolutely does. This is normally the combo which you go towards the top side of the map in. There are some counterplays you can do uniquely as Ornn with your W, able to kind of keep yourself unstoppable if you manage to time that with the mind game very well and stop the ruthless predator from Renekton. It means that you can kind of get out a little bit scot-free from those ganks. Rumble banned away from Ninja in the mid lane. He's had some huge games on this.
It is, and we'll see what the response is here from the Jesters. I kind of want to echo in a little bit about that dive as well. Yeah, Ornn's hard to dive, but especially Hachimechu's doing a lot of counter ganks in the last few weeks. Olaf's a pretty damn good counter ganking jungler
He's up
too.
there. Yeah, he's up there.
And that could end up spelling some misery as well. So I expect a lot of mind games potentially around how those junglers play out their early game. Sila's taken away by the Jesters. Arya has shown his mastery of that champion over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I roll my eyes and shake my head a little bit, but he did end up building a Medjai's, getting up to 25 stacks briefly on that second game between the back in week 6. Yumi's been banned away from Vivid. I guess they don't want that alongside the FLS, and of course alongside the Olaf as well. Does make that a bit of an unstoppable combo. A bit of an unstoppable, very much an unstoppable combo.
Olaf is in fact a terrifying pet owner, it turns like. You give him a cat and that man becomes...
Olaf has a big cat.
He does have a big cat. It was, as some notes, Aurelia banned away now as well. As some notes, Hoglet of Axis fame was tweeting at us basically about the Olaf Yumi combo, and basically his response was that Olaf has a big cat and you just have to deal with it.
Yeah, unfortunately Hoglet being eliminated from the playoffs with Axis in the series just before this, going 0-3 to V3. The winner of this series will go up against the rampant looking V3. It's going to be Nautilus locked in for Grendel. We have had a lot of questions about Grendel on this pick. Sometimes I've made the comparison to one of the old school supports in Hachani from KT Arrow's fame, who would effectively die just randomly throughout the game. But sometimes it would be in a place because he knew that even if he died, his team could get a good fight because of his death. Sometimes Grendel just dies for the sake of dying, though. So we'll have to keep an eye on him. And against the Morgana, that makes things even more difficult because now you have to contend with a Black Shield and a Dark Binding, which can catch you out over walls.
Yes, exactly. And Black Shield on top of that Aphelios could be a good way to keep him safe. Thinking about the buffed Nico are the Jesters here.
I wouldn't be surprised
Super
to see
strong
this locked
engage. It would pair up really well with that Ornn engage as well. It's
locked
in.
Okay, right. So AP Nico and Attack Speed Nico have both been buffed. So it was, I believe it was the E and the ult's AP ratios have been increased, and also some of, I think it's her base attack speed as well. So this is a lot of wombo now for the side of Rascal Jester. You have the Call of the Forge God, you have the Pop Blossom as well, you have the Moonlight Vigil, even with its nerfed range, and then of course Morgana with the Soul Shackles coming through. Arya hovering over the Nikali, and it's locked in. Had a Mass Swan on cast. Most of the time he just kind of dies at this point because he doesn't like Akali in the current meta. So in this particular state, I think that Akali has the ability to abuse a Nico if you dodge out on the tangle barbs. Or rather, what's
It is
the
tangle barbs.
tangle barbs? Is it?
You've got the
I thought
blooming
that
burst
was-
is the Q.
All right.
Got the E is the tangle barbs and R is pot blossom.
Yeah, I thought that tangle barbs was a Zyra thing. It's so hard to keep track of. Anyway, so if you dodge out the
Is that a
E,
grasping root?
oh yeah, true. Maybe.
grasping
Okay,
vines.
but yeah. So if Nico, I forgot about this. This is a flex pick, of course.
Oh, of course it is.
So I should have mentioned that earlier. Nico, of course, been buffed in both of her forms. If this is on hit, it's still very, it can be vulnerable to a Renekton Elise dive combo.
Yes.
Because that Renekton can go through the waves, stun up, and then Elise goes through for the burst. You are not a tanky champion. Later into the game, though, Renekton finds it very, very hard to walk up to that Nico if she starts stacking stuff like a Witsend and the Rage Blade as well, alongside Blade the Rain King. Could also be an AP top Nico as well, so we'll see what build this is going to be. This first draft has been locked in. Lots of different things than we expected. I was hoping for a Zyra Khan wasn't touched in the slightest. Gango going back towards the Varus and Grendel going back to the old faithful of Nautilus. Aphelios makes its way through the draft, and Art, being one of our premier AD carries, managing to pick that up as well. There is a lot to watch in these team fights. I don't envy you one bit, Sam.
I'm looking forward to it. And also, I kind of want to call out Cog as well. He looked stunning on Kennen in the top lane.
Yeah.
We know, and Nico is not that far off. I know LS in sort of slightly disingenuous, tongue-in-cheek fashion has called Nico kind of
Worst Kennen.
worse Kennen. And there is some truth to the play patterns of Nico. And if Cog can play Kennen like that, I would be unsurprised to see him playing that flanking AoE, AP initiator, something like that, assuming he doesn't go towards an AD build. Could be really exciting.
It absolutely could be. We are loading into the first game of the second match of the day of round one. So many numbers to keep in track in my head because I haven't got it written down in front of me. Game on. We're onto the Rift. There's a 5-man stack already from Rascal Jester.
They've got a scary level 1, actually, assuming Nico
Finding
goes something like a
misses.
Tango Bombs. It does, and it means that Gango trades back with some arrows there, but it's only a slight HP lead, and the Jesters get a free invade onto this top side as you watch
Okay,
Nat
what's with
head
them?
towards his lane, and Ninja turns into
An Ornn.
an Ornn.
Yeah, absolutely does. So we see that it's a Glacial Augment coming out of Nico, so it probably will be the AP. That is the rune of choice for AP Nico. Wards have been put down on the level 1 here from Rascal Jester. Well, not only will they be able to scout out where Yoshi starts either here or on the top side of the map, but they might be able to catch someone at the same time. Actually, Grendel going to buy a timely sweeper and manage to gift that ward kill over to Gango on the Varus.
That might get him the level 2 earlier as well, which is good news. But you can see that the Jesters are potentially setting up for a vertical jungling setup with focus towards that bot side. And when we have had some questions about CGA's support, this seems like a potentially good way to put him under pressure in this first game of their playoffs.
I believe so as well. And also, this is one of those team comps which Rascal Jester have where if you end up in the front line, there's so many things to lock you in place and just keep you accountable. There's the Dark Binding, there's the Call of the Forge Guard, there's the Searing Charge as well. And of course, you've got the Graviton route alongside, Olaf wailing on you, and then 2 forms of siege from Nico as well. There's almost 2 things to count on like 2 hands there.
Look at Elise, though. She's steamrolling over here, looking to potentially catch Olaf out at low HP. He's going to walk right around. Does Elise have E? If she does, she can think about it. You could have leveled that level 2. It would be a bit of a risk. But thinking about just pushing this Olaf out.
Okay, just push him out.
Okay, so that means actually Olaf is potentially going to get 3 buffs. Arya's looking to just put down a ward.
He's
Was
been
looking
scouted.
for that.
The important thing is that he's been scouted.
Yes.
And that means that it probably will the laners will know where the ganks are likely to happen. Arya had the early shove in mid with the 5-point strike being able to kind of shove out a little bit better than the little Q pillar from Orton.
And of course, Olaf does clear low. And if you have people like an Akali, a Renekton, and Elise turning up to punish that Olaf could end up in a serious point of pressure. And we've watched Elise head straight back over that blue buff.
And clears out a ward there as well.
Yeah,
Manages to get rid of some of the buffs. So they know that Elise is taking this, but there's nothing really that Hachimecha can do. Hachimecha only managed to get the 2 camps on the one side of the map, whereas Yoshi will be able
level
to
2 though. And
it is right now. I don't think Yoshi wants to be here.
had
flash
to
swing.
flash out.
Yeah. A little bit ballsy there to walk in and assume that he can outfight the Olaf. I'm not even
not
too
done
sure he's going
yet.
to have this. There's a level disadvantage on the smite here.
Ninja's here as well.
Too.
Akali's going to come around, but I think that just means the Scuttle Crab goes over, and Elise is going to have to retreat over to her Raptors. Does go for the smite, good call. You can sort of end up taking too long killing the big raptor and dying. I've done that once or twice in the least and felt bad about myself.
How does that not surprise me?
That's just me being bad as well. I'm not a pro player for a reason.
So Hachimecha is going to run straight down to the bot scuttle here as well. Going to be able to get 2 to Scuttle Scar. As much as there's been a lot of back and forth between the junglers, it has been Hachimecha coming out on top. We have Hachimecha has had a good end to the split. Yoshi has had somewhat of a tumultuous split in all forms, really. So this is kind of what we expected from the jungle matchup. The Olaf getting ahead is not something which CJ will be particularly fond of themselves, and now they might even get a pick onto the spider in their own jungle.
Oh, she's so nervous. She's going to think about rappelling over to it.
I think just walking down here, seeing if there's a counter to be made.
That's a good sweeper. Just in there. Vivid is still around. Elise is there, thinking about trading back onto this Grom.
Both smites available.
Oh, man, this is going to be a little bit of a tussle over the Grump, whether or not he's in this game or not. Gango here to try and contest. Black Shield as well, really smart, means that no Cocoon landing is going to do anything. Steal away from Hachimecha, well played.
Will do, yeah. So that little back and forth in the jungle goes the way of Rascal Jester once again. And all of this is to the tune of Yoshi getting behind in the jungle. Fan vote going the way of CGA. It should be said that so I predicted that CGA would win this 3-2. That was my prediction coming into this series. I thought you said that it was going to be 3-2, but you didn't say.
I said to Rascal Jester.
You said
is
to
what
Rascal
I think.
Jester.
Yeah, I was difficult to call, but I favour the Jesters. I think their experience will win out, and you can sort of see it here a little bit, pushing the rookie around a little bit in the jungle. That Olaf is up to 34 to 17, double the camps right now.
And 2 levels up as well. And going to be starting the Infernal Dragon.
They don't know he's here.
They've not scouted this out, although it looks like Ninja actually recalled there.
That's a very low Hachimecha. He could get really punished for this. Yoshi doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Wait, Yoshi doesn't know, and then doesn't use the blast plant either. That could have been that is such a big turning point in the game.
Oh,
Hook lands with Black Shield.
They're going to get out potentially. Yoshi has got Cocoon. He's going to use the Chilling Smite. Hasn't used that Cocoon yet. They're going to try and get it under the tower here. Cleanse.
Good cleanse. Captain Jack out of there from out.
That is so well played. And Hachimecha with 2 levels over this Elise early. Arya has roamed down. The dive bot is on. Hachimecha is going to try and get here in time as the bot lane of Art and Vivid have to back away.
I don't know if he can even finish these Krugs. I think he could be forced out here. He's low level. He's a low level Naody carry right now. It's 6 minutes into the game. This is a very slow start from this Elise.
Yeah, and she is not the fastest clearer either. So Hachimecha's here's got the sweeper down, sees that some of his Krugs been taken, but Yoshi wisely backed away. And Art doesn't even lose that many minions to tower. And a worthy trade for the first Infernal Dragon.
So, kind of checking in across the rest of the lanes. Aria's found the early advantage on the Akali versus Ornn. This is one of the historical better matchups for Akali, even before she was reworked. And even now, after the rework, she has less ability early to start playing around, but then as you start kind of getting up to the later levels, you have some ability again to really start bullying out the Conqueror stacking.
Yeah, I also want to point out the Observer did call it, as Hachimecha steals away this Grump again. That's this man has a fixation. And it is for Poisonous Toads.
And that's 5 camps ahead in total of Yoshi. That's huge. Particularly when you already outscaled Elise.
Yes. And it's weird to say that around an Olaf, right? But there is something about Olaf's kind of 15-minute mark, should we say, that is pretty terrifying. And he's going to get there real fast.
And Elise scales well into certain kind of comps, but not all of them. She does tend to fall off after a certain while as well. It's normally we look to see what she does on the first clear, the first gank. And of course, there aren't going to be many ganks coming in this game because she's just fallen behind the curve.
Yeah, a little bit sad to say. Arya, though, is, of course, up to that CS League we talked about. It is a good matchup. It's also just a very good player, so I'm not surprised to see that there.
Absolutely is. Top lane's gone pretty even.
Yeah,
that's nice.
I mean, that's kind of unsurprising as well. Cog has had to play a little carefully, I would say, knowing where his jungler's focus is. But then again, they've also had a read on where Yoshi has been. So that going about even is not a surprise. Renekton strong in the early game. Has gone towards Merc Treads first as well to make sure any of those Tangle Barbs landing aren't going to keep him in place for all that long.
Yeah.
And Hachimecha's just going to start on this spawn here as well, as Nap does roam down, to potentially contest the Rift Herald.
Fighting against Renekton and Akali are really strong at this point in the game as well.
It's not like Cog is particularly weak, I suppose, and there will be a Call of the Forge Guard as well, so there is a lot of Bounce House available, so maybe a Rascal Jester's feeling like they've got this, and Hachimetra at level 6 as well is pretty damn strong.
I don't think you want to fight against an Akali at this point in the game. Admittedly, the Elise is pretty low HP right now, but just the perfect execution does allow you to tear through a lot of these kind of a lot of these tankier members with the execute damage pretty well.
Yes, and of course Ragnarok from Olaf does in fact lower your resistances, so Akali shreds you even harder. Oh,
okay,
good hook onto yeah, they're going to keep going. Grendel did hit level 6 first, but that is a Black Shield to avoid that knock-up. Flash burn from Vivid, but that is all they get for that.
That was good trading of targets there, using the depth charge to force out the Black Shield, and then using the Chains of Corruption straight onto the other one. Notice that Vivid's gone for the exhaust, actually, even more dissuasion for the all-in attempt. With all of that pressure on bot side, looks like Hachimetra wants to start up this Herald once again. But I don't know whether this is a good idea. Kogo's getting engaged onto.
Yeah, he's taking a lot of damage to get the root, but there's a flash cocoon. Well played by Yoshi, and first blood over to Renekton.
It is indeed. Hook misses in the mid lane. Arya did take a big trade before that, but once again, just the Renekton Elise. And this top side of the map is strong from CGA. Even when you don't have the highest level on the Elise, just being able to have that setup so the cocoon lands, the extra CC goes the extra mile.
And like, Cog just walked into that bush and the waiting arms of a crocodile and a spider. It was not particularly pleasant stuff. Hachimetra is here, wants to contest, but actually Yoshi is now equal in levels. Arya here too. I think there's just everybody, in fact, because look where Grendel is, just up here as well. Yeah. Rift Herald secured by CGL, turning around an early game that had been going pretty awry.
Particularly in the jungle matchup, but everywhere else had been going well from CGA. Nap, as we said, managing to find some small incremental advantages against this Nico in the top lane, and now to the tune of a kill and a 10 CS lead. Mid lane, much a similar story, although he's actually had a pretty damaging combo here.
Oh, he gets it as well. I think he's got it.
He has.
And Arya,
our MVP from the mid lane, gets taken down by Ninja on the Ornn with the Ignite available from the Spellbook. That is absolutely huge if they want to go for the second dragon.
Just a little bit lazy. Was not expecting the Ornn damage. This guy early, with the right combos and the right brittle stacks, can destroy pretty much anybody. Well played by the man in the mid.
Oh, it's absolutely huge. This is one of those things where LS would be, just rubbing their hands, going, "Ooh, that's a nice skill combo." Uses, the 3 brittle proc combo, has the ignite as well. Already taken some good trades against Arya by the looks of it. Anyway, if you looked at his, I think he started that trade at about half HP. So yeah, first kill in the mid lane matchup against our predictions, going to the way of Ninja.
It is, and as well, that means Arya's down a flash, down his ultimate, just used TP to get back into lane, so potentially a little vulnerable here, as Yoshi has walked down bot.
Yeah, he doesn't have ultimate either, which is pretty big, because it means that his next kind of skirmish will be lacking that power. Akali really needs the ultimate to start affecting these fights right now.
Yes, she does. Vivid and Art kind of aware that something might be going on.
Big trade in top lane again.
Massive top lane tangle bombs there. But remember, those Merc treads first means that doesn't last all that long. No flash available right now. That cocoon went completely wide. And Cog is still being chased down here. Nap thinking going for the flash. Did miss it, though. Pop Bossom's there. Does get the root, but it's tossed.
Oh, this is the Nap show.
Curl. Oh, yeah, Nap is on fire right now, and Cog in serious trouble. That earlier flashback and those sensible, really on-point Merc Tread buys means that Cog can't keep the distance.
Also, one of the other things is that Nico CC lasts longer if the E travels through another target. So if you get right on top of it, that doesn't happen. Ends up dashing right into her face, and then using that lower CC duration to make sure that the Renekton can chase down the Nico, especially with the flash available when Cog burned his earlier.
Yeah, and it means, all told, about a 700 gold lead for CGA in this early game. 1 solo kill, traded a piece now. And
if you told me one of the solo laners of CGA had got like two kills, I would have said it would have been Arya.
Yeah, exactly. And Arya is in fact the one who got traded onto.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cleanse burn from Art one more time though. For the Chains of Corruption cooldown. Good stuff from Gango.
Was indeed. So that's the net. Yeah. So we're seeing a lot of cooldowns burn in the bot lane. It just means that Rascal Jester's bot lane can't play as aggressive as they might want to, and that does mean that they're not able to push any kind of advantages. Morgana, when she tends to win in lane, is a very powerful champion able to roam around and come into the team fights at a pretty powerful level. Arya's going to have the blue buff handed off to him, and Akali, being a very energy-dependent champion nowadays, with the 5-point strike being such an expensive ability, means that the blue buff does gain so much value for that mid laner.
It really does, and something else to keep an eye on is if we look over at Hatchemetcha's build, he's gone towards the warrior and completed it, so very strong at this point, but will scale into being a little bit more of a squishy player in this game. So Hatchemetcha, with his lead, has decided, I must carry this game in the middle.
Yeah, and it still has a pretty huge camp lead onto Yoshi here. Probably going towards the Black Cleaver as well. Arya taking an interesting trade here once again.
Hatchemetcha's once again surround. He was thinking about trying to get a gank with Arya gone forwards, but won't. Just going to use the Shuriken Flip to put a little bit of a trade onto Hatchemetcha. And remember, the Jesters did get those first 2 Drakes, and it is a Mountain Rift, yeah. So they are stacking those at the minute.
Ooh,
Yoshi summons the Rift Herald in
It's not going to be in time for It's not going to be in time for plates. But it might still be able to pressure down the turret there.
Don't know about that one.
I don't think that. Yeah, I think that was just unlucky timing. I think with the amount of fights around the map, they didn't find quite an appropriate opening, and that does mean that this Herald will not be the most valuable. But they could be in position to at least call Hatchemetcha over to the side. It's a teleport
as well. They're thinking about punishing maybe.
But the Spiderling ended up taking the Dark Binding. Now Cogcog's getting traded on once again here. Stun goes up.
Cog does get around and is fine. Didn't have to burn anything there, but it was looking a little bit dicey there for a moment. No
slice and dice,
pun intended, but either way, continuing on.
Will be. Yeah, so I think Arya will be able to go back and buy himself the full Gunblade now, and then most Akali matchups do somewhat tilt around when you get that Gunblade. Is picking that up right now. Has the magical boots as well to go through towards those cheaper boots.
In time for a Mountain Drake fight as well, which will be a very important one.
Very important indeed. If CJ managed to get a pick before this fight, it could be could stop that Drake stacking, which they want to do. On the other side, Ninja has built up the Balmy Cinder. We saw that Sunfire Cape got some significant buffs in the last couple of patches. Now with your next when you immobilize someone with an ability or any kind of effect, it has a small flame burst around it, and that does scale relatively well with level. So Ninja having Ornn being able to do that with brittle procs, with the Q, with the ultimate, with the Searing Charge as well. There's a lot of ways to proc that.
The big problem, though, is that while Gango is hit Blade of the Ruin King, Art is still stuck on components for Essence Reaver. It's not going to be up in time for this Mountain Drake, and that's going to be a pretty significant item advantage for CJ, yeah. Especially with that Gunblade and Black Cleaver complete for the side of CJ with the Akali Renekton respectively.
Oh, yeah. CJ are more than ready to fight right now. However, on the other side, all the ultimates available, all the summon is available, but the teleport available from Nico, and that is why Nico is walking down to this fight as well. Arya is behind enemy lines.
Using ults! He's going to think about coming in on that. Good stopwatch. Arya now in a bit of a bad play, but that Searing Charge didn't hit anybody. Going to get the execution. He's just gone, even through the Pop Blossom. It's all going a little bit wrong. Grendel does take a lot of damage. Call of the Forge Guard is channeled. The Ram comes through, and Grendel takes a fair chunk of HP, but it's too late. Cog just got executed between a piercing arrow and some good work from Arya.
Solo kills be damned. Arya gets into and onto Cog in the enemy jungle and takes them down with the per-6 execution. The Nico going 0-3 in this first game for Rascal Jester. We had, some quite... actually, we thought that Cog was going to be one of the more consistent members from Rascal Jester, but Nap has really put down this Nico. Had no teleport as well because of some of that lane pressure, meaning that had to walk down to the fight and walk straight into the waiting arms of Arya.
Yeah, and it's for all Hatchemetcha's managed to get a good CS lead early on. It's the solo lanes of CGA that are actually winning this right now.
It is indeed, and I think that CJ may have an argument to have the best laning solo laners in the league, up there with DFM, of course, amongst some. And Sengoku have had a good end to the split as well. At least with the last couple of minutes going against Rascal Jester, they're going to pick themselves up the second Herald of the game. The first one obviously went over to Yoshi in that back and forth fight where Koko went down for his first death of the game. Yeah,
and this could be quite a big way to keep it. It's not like the Jesters are out of this game yet. Don't make that mistake. And Cog finds one good flank and all his sins are forgiven on that Nico. It is the bane and boon of these big ticket ultimate champions, and Pop Blossom is certainly that.
It's one of them, absolutely. Motred's now build up for Aria as well. Will help that 1v1 versus the Ornn. Has the Conqueror as well for that extended trade damage if he finds himself in side lanes. I worry for the side lanes of Rascal Jester. I don't think they have the best options there. And if they want to force on mid lane, it has to be versus a high wave clear AD carry of the Varus. I still think they can open up a mid lane siege if they end up getting a good call of the Forge God, particularly because there's no Tahm Kench or anything like that.
Yeah, that
and
Varus
the
could
Nautilus,
get knocked up pretty easy.
And the Nautilus could go down alongside them as well. So CGA, if they do commit to a 1-3-1 into side lanes, they still need to be very careful of the dive threat of Rascal Jester.
Yeah, and that's exactly it, because the moment Rascal Jester group up, that bounce house CC of the Ornn and the Nico, along with all the roots, could be exceptionally punishing, but I don't know whether CJ are going to allow it, because there is so much mobility and a little bit of playmaking flair from the Renekton and the Akali that's been winning them these skirmishes so far for Crest Gaming Act.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nap is going to be very, very strong into this mid game as well.
Yes,
Has himself 2 kills, level 12 to level 11 of the Nico. Built up the Black Cleaver already, probably building towards the Sterak's with that second item, the Jorum's Fist and inventory. Herald is summoned top lane. Will lose that top lane out of turret to that, probably, even though it is quite high health. We'll see if they want to dive this Renekton, though, at the same kind of time. We'll be able to kill off the Herald right now, and then probably... Okay, so the tower is going to survive. That is pretty nice for CGA, because it will give them that extra kind of staging post to launch side lane and plays off of.
Yeah, they thought they had a good recall timing to punish the Rascal Jesters, but Yoshi, Grendel were there to try and turn that around, and Nap just steps forward and goes, yeah, what are you going to do about it? And the answer is not a lot.
Not very much, yeah.
GOP is complete for this Nico now, so it will be a little harder for Nap to get on top of her in a side lane, which is some some comfort.
But then I like to think of the river as Florida.
Florida.
Yeah,
is this like the Gulf of Mexico? Is that where the Dragon Pit is?
No.
Like where they create
no, like you're thinking too deeply. Okay. I was just going to say that any body of water could contain a very angry alligator. Walk into the river at your own peril.
Makes a lot more sense.
And yeah, beware of angry reptiles.
Beware of angry reptiles. Good words to live your life by.
Yeah. That's it. The reptile people will decide your fate.
They will decide your fate.
Don't make them angry.
Has anyone seen that meme of the reptilian overlord saying, "We really apologise, we'll reset the simulation to 2050. We just want to see what you do"?
Oh, I hadn't. But,
it's just that, yeah. It's good stuff.
I mean, I'd be quite sad because 2020 LJL has been pretty good.
It has been really good. It's just the World War III memes and the COVID-19 and all the rest of it's been a little bit more troubling for the world in general. And even if LJL has been pretty exciting.
What's a little bit troubling as well is that Gango is at a pretty big lead against art, on the same scale of those worldly phenomena, there's a 2-item Varus now with the Blade and the Rage Blade. Not Blade and the Rage Blade and the Hurricane. With the Hail of Blades, we did mention that earlier, we saw it in the earlier series today. A little bit of new tech, really, meaning that your early part of the fight can lead to you stacking up your Blighted Quiver very quickly and then kind of popping it with one of your other abilities, leading to a pretty large burst combo from the Varus.
Yeah, and that is pretty strong. It's not like Art's been farming badly. It's actually up slightly in CS versus Gango, but what's going on is basically tower gold and that 1 kill definitely giving him the advantage there, and it's not like Art items are particularly cheap either.
No, absolutely not. The Essence Reaver into what we assume to be the Hurricane coming out next as well.
Will it be Infinity Edge actually off the Crit Cloak?
Well, with the Crit Cloak, we're going into Zeal now.
Of course it will be. No, sorry, that makes a lot more sense.
Crit Cloak goes into everything. There are no Brawler's Gloves anymore.
There are no Brawler's Gloves.
Yeah. Only in TFT, and that's Sparring Gloves. Yep.
But
no dodge chance in League.
No. Thankfully removed. What hasn't been removed, though, is the Mountain Drake, which will be spawning in 15 seconds. And there are a lot of summoners and a lot of ultimates up one more time. And that means I suspect another fairly explosive fight. CGA are currently splitting the map, but they have TPs available.
Aria actually has completed Void Staff for this fight if he chooses to TP into it. Nap has actually found his way down already. Vision in that brush from the pink ward.
Twin Shadows from Cog.
They have themselves the positioning in the river here. If they go through this choke point, Call of the Forge God is going to be huge.
Look where Nap is. They have vision and they're teleporting in behind. They're going to try and turn and focus on those 3 people on the other side. Art off to one side. And you've got to be very careful because there's an angry crocodile and an assassin ready to get on top of him. Arya's going to think about flipping over the wall.
That's a very good ward, though. He's thinking about it. He is very much thinking about it.
They haven't spotted him yet. He's still there. And they're going to keep going on to this Drake. Going to think about flashing over his Hatchemetcha. Yeah, he
He's
flashes
seen
in, he's in, but look at the back, because Arya's got him, but he's been exhausted straight away, and Olaf kicks the dragon, and Arya's taking very low, but
very good
Vivid's got a
damage.
fantastic stopwatch. I don't think
Oh,
he's
he
going to get another
mistimed
flash.
it.
Yoshi gets a kill onto Hachimecha, though. Pop Blossom on the huge! Gets the kill onto Art, but it's not going to be enough, because Vivid goes down the back to Grendel, and Nap is a monster. Art's going to try and heal up. He gets the shutdown. That's who's got actually a cleanse. Trying to get it onto Yoshi, gets that kill too! He's turning it around, Grendel! He's going to fall to Art, doesn't, he hits the dragon. It's huge! Art, no! Goes down!
Subportal combat! Grendel picks up like 2 kills in that fight. He
4 for 3?
He flashes on for his first kill.
Wait,
and
it's
then
not done! Ninja's here! Wait for it, Subportal combat!
Get over here! Get over here! Run, Grendel, run! The level 10 Nautilus makes it out alive there. 2-0-1. Oh, that was so close on so many fronts there. Adia just mistiming the Zhonya's onto Vivid at the end of that fight. They still don't see him at this point in time. We saw that from the toggled vision. Grendel gets the Black Shield out very early into the fight, but the turret is already down onto Adia. The Graviton comes down and ends up rooting him right in the path of the Fork called the Forge God, which forces out the flash early. Chooses to go back in aggressively to try and find something at the end of the fight, but then mistimes the Zhonya's, and at that point, everything just kind of descends into madness.
Yeah, and that's a great flank there from Cog just going in, forcing so much stuff. He's still pretty squishy, and that's damn strong. Look at the work, and then Grendel and Yoshi. Oh my days, this little fight here was so damn close.
And actually, it is worth noting that Gango, that was a godlike hook. That was, I mean, this is Nautilus, man. This is what's up. Get Season 10, Defalios. Get Season 10.
Yeah, and I can hear our producer just gloating somewhere out there.
The support main among us.
Yeah, but that does mean that Art is now at a Molten Edge and Essence Reaver. 2-1 and 1. Obsidian Cleaver in for the Olaf as well. Rascal Jesters are online and ready to fight.
They are, because, I mean, between the 2 upgrades for Orn himself and then 2 upgrades amongst his team, that is, a good 3,000, 4,000 gold for his team.
Yeah, and Mountain Soul on the line for this team as well. If they get that, Arya's job gets so much harder. Nap, as this game goes on, going to find it a lot harder to get 100 to zeros on that Olaf during his CC. Not Olaf, on that Renekton during his CC. And that could get really tricky. How do you deal with Ninja with shield on top of all his damn tankiness?
It's going to be quite difficult. I think in side lanes, Arya can still make a dent, has the Void Staff. That last fight for Arya did not go according to plan, though. So many small things going against him, and he ended up just about missing out some very key plays there. He hasn't found the elites, which he normally has in these kind of games, and that could end up stymieing some of his playmaking that we very much know him for.
Yes, and he's going to have to keep an eye on it. He's still at a strong point. Stopwatch, Void Staff, Gunblade, all excellent playmaking and damage tools. And there are a number of people on the side of Rascal Jesters, namely that bot lane and Nico, who are available to be blown up at the right moment.
Absolutely true. However, when Gango finishes the Rageblade, we'll have that Last Whisper passive from the item as well, giving 15% resist shred on that item.
Did not know Rageblade came with the Last Whisper passive.
It does. It means you can't build both, obviously, but it gives you kind of a menagerie of different little unique passives nowadays. That was one of the last changes to it back like early last season.
Yeah, I don't really build Rageblade carries, so I haven't looked at that item in quite a while.
I used to play a lot of Kai'Sa. On my Smurf.
Yeah. On the Smurf. Kai'Sa kind of back a little bit though, so might see a little bit.
Might see some of that in the series, maybe.
Art definitely plays it.
Art definitely plays it, and I'm sure Gango has the ability to as well. Very proficient mechanical carry. So it is Art actually has gone towards the Infinity Edge. It wasn't the Hurricane in second. It does allow you to have that second, that Orn item earlier into the game at your second item rather than your third one. So you did call it out correctly, but the dagger still sat in inventory for now.
Yeah. We'll probably go towards that Hurricane. You'd imagine third, I guess, at that point.
Well, yeah, presumably. It could be a Phantom Nancer.
That wouldn't be the worst thing versus an Akali.
But Aphelios does really like to have the Hurricane, just to have the multi-target abilities. It means that your Calibrum has like the old like Caitlyn, you were stuck on a trap and it's like blam.
Yeah,
the Hurricane. You do the same kind of thing with Aphelios. Yes. Kind of same kind of thing. 38 seconds until the Mountain Dragon.
It is, and once again, we're gonna see ultimates all available, but there are some summoners that aren't quite. Flash on Arya and Grendel, not up for Vivid, not up for Art, not up for Cog. I wonder whether these teams will wait around a little bit to see whether they can wait out those cooldowns and be ready a little bit more on time, or they might just think now's the time to go either way, because this will be a fight, mate. No mistake.
Absolutely. There are 3 items on Gango as well, and a Zhonya's on Yoshi, so a lot of important items picked up for side of CGA.
Hex Drinker in for Art as well.
Yeah, some big items picked up across the board.
Ninja finding onto Nap, gets a knock-up as well, but Nap is probably going to just wake it out. He's quite tanky at this point on the Renekton and has a Sterix gauge as well, so even if you get him low...
Ali's level 16 as well. This is going to be a very strong Akali.
Misses the cocoon, that's important.
Does miss the cocoon. The decoy sent out by Ninja, not Ninja, the person pretending to be Ninja Cog there.
I had Guardian put down as well. Ooh, Dredgeline misses, and CGA are trying to Cog using that clone as a scout, making sure that's not coming up. They're using the Twin Shadow as well for that as well. Ninja takes a cocoon, but he's not really the target you want. That man is retaining. It does land. Ragnarok has to be burned, but it's actually being turned around onto Grendel, who's taken very, very low.
Naps
but Hachimecha is now super low, has to flash out. Yoshi's trying to get on top of him. Can't get him. This spider is so down low. Nap's about to go down as well. Is on the back of this, but he's dead. And that means it's a 2-4-0 right now. Rascal Jester coming out on top of that fight.
Team fight goes the way of Rascal Jester, and that might very well signal the Mountain Drake. Yoshi goes in for the suicide play, tries to trade onto the jungle, only loses his own life in the making of it. They may have a gold lead to CGA, but they have lost themselves 4 dragons and the Mountain Soul.
And once again, Up is the beneficiary of this fight. Now 3-1-2. They're teleporting in because they want a Baron. That gold lead's about to swiftly disappear, and the health bars are still very low. They haven't had a chance to reset on the side of CGA.
No, they have not. Grendel's still very low HP as well. Won't be able to play the massive key of the Initiator. Ooh. And there is... Oh, that's a bind from the Nico. Arya is sat here with no ultimate as well. Does have the flash. Might want to try and make a big play. Yoshi won't be here in time. They're TPing in.
They're going to try and fight it. Cog here gets another big bind. And look at Vivid and Cog. They've zoned off the entire CGA squad. They get a Baron for free. Arya's going to try and find something on the backline. Maybe catch someone backing in a dodgy spot. But no, gets nothing. Suddenly that gold lead over to Rascal Jesters, not CGA, as they maybe try and push it on this mid lane, but Baron buff, not going to happen.
Not going to happen at all. Arya not finding the openings he would like to on this assassin from the mid lane. Gango is sat deathless on the Varus, but only has the 1 kill alongside the 3 assists, which means that he's really not having the impact he would like to have in these team fights either. Vivid walking forward with impunity there, being very brave.
And the second tower of the game falls down for Rascal Jesters. It's only 2-1 of the turret scores in 30 minutes.
And they don't even choose to reset before this Baron. They just go straight down, take 2 turrets, knowing that they can't actually go. I was gonna say they didn't go back and get
teleport,
never mind. Teleport in because they haven't reset there. Arya looking for something.
He's gonna try and get it, but there's a Twin Shadows there. Hachimecha's in behind, has got Ragnarok back available. He's gonna be pretty hard to keep down. Call of the Forge will get kept up alongside that Ragnarok now. But Nap's gonna come over, but can he CC this? Gonna get the kill on Hachimecha. That's decent work by CGA.
And that will stall out a little bit of this Baron. Takes down the Baron power play from 1,500 to about 1,300 or something like that. There's no objectives to be taken off of it, but it does stall the push. Yoshi's gonna get caught by binding.
He's gonna go down a lot.
And he didn't even...
Oh, there's a bind onto Grendel as well. He's got a massive gravity ult on top of his own. God, CGA. They thought they'd found a turnaround. They just died 2 kills now for the 1 trade onto Hachimecha.
Yoshi did not use Zhonya's. He had it available. You can use it when you are bound by the Dark Binding. Doesn't use it. Arc comes through the Infernum and just burns up the spider there for the 3rd death of the game for Yoshi.
Yeah. And suddenly this Baron... There's so many towers left on the map to take for the side of Rascal Jesters, and that could spell a massive gold lead. They've got a minute or so left to push. The 1 death onto Hachimecha has probably stymied it a little bit. Means the base at least won't be broken. But there's a lot of room to get a lot of control on the map.
Will be indeed. And what a sad game for Nap, who's had one of the better games of his split. Had, 3 kills going on to Cog. He had such an ability to impact the game, but the team fights just didn't go the way of CGA. Now facing up against the remainder of the Baron buff, they're going to lose another tower on the bot side, and they're going to have to play around an Elder Steel.
They really are, and of course there is still playmaking available, right? There is Arya, who's got items. There is this Varus at 3.5. Maybe they can find something, but they've got to be so careful because there is so much damn zone control from Rascal Jesters.
There is indeed, particularly when you have 3.5 item Aphelios as well. You can't afford to leave him in touch, but you're never really going to get onto him unless you have the perfect flank. And when you don't have control of the map because you've lost all the Barons, lost all the Dragons, that's going to be hard to do.
Yeah, and Hachimecha and the rest of Rascal Jesters find their 4th turret of this Baron power play. 3,311 gold up for that one, which puts them 2,000 gold in the lead.
Also worth noting that Vivid has the upgraded Zhonya's, has
He
the Zhonya's
does.
Paradox now in his inventory as well. Cogcog also has that upgrade available to him. And Hachimecha is just kind of walking up to Nap here as well, binding
man.
lands, but I don't think much is going to come up to it.
I wonder whether Nico's going to go for that, or whether they're going to wait on her buying something like
I think they go for it. I think they go for it for the power spike right now, particularly if you can get it. If you can get Ninja up to level 18, because now you have to have that later level now. That was one of the nerfs to Ornn. The upgrades do come in a level later than they were previous to patch 10.4, I believe. And that means that this next fight for the Elder Dragon could spell the game one way or another. CJ still have damage. They've managed to very nearly secure some kills. Elder means that you definitely secure them if the same fight were to happen again.
But I want to give so much praise to Art and Ninja. We said Ninja was a little bit of a coin flip, but has come up clutch in so many situations before. He's coming up clutch.
Well, he solo killed Arya.
That is a massive deal. And Art as well. 4-1 and 3 on this Aphelios has been putting up mad damage, completed the Maw of Malmortius now as well. This guy is playing like a god.
He is. And the Zhonya's Paradox comes in for Cogcog as well. It was the upgrade there. The Elder Dragon coming up in 50 seconds from now. This is going to be the game-determining fight in a lot of ways in Game 1 of this Round 1 best of 5.
And maybe it's only a K.5 lead on the scoreboard, but with all those Ornn items, with the Mountain Soul, the value of their stats is 5k more easily with that kind of fully upgraded item slots and that soul.
With 2 Mountain Dragons, the upgraded armor you get from the Zhonya's as well is in its own way buffed as well, because it is one of those armor items. They're not even good. CJ are not even being allowed into the same quadrant of the map as this dragon here. They don't have a way to get in. Dark Binding lands from out of vision onto Adia here as well.
A Ninja in his ghostly form, courtesy of Cogcog, forces Arya to be a little bit concerned about whether that actually is an Ornn striding forwards or not.
You have to be a little bit afraid.
Elder Drake now on the Rift. The next big fight is available, but Rascal Jesters have got position and vision control. Nap is in, but has to slice his way over the wall. Doesn't dice his way back in. Arya as well, throwing the shuriken.
This is the choke point. This could be an absolutely explosive fight.
Yeah, but those choke points actually make it significantly harder for Nautilus, because can't get the thing over. That's massive amounts of damage from Art at this point. Half the health bar of the tankiest member of CGA.
Oh, these turrets are so anti-fun from Art here. Got the Calibrum on top of it, and now has the Infernum, actually. He's going to use the Glacial as well. This is an insane amount of zoning from Rascal Jester, making sure that this is just
the Drake
in their grasp. It's in the iron fist of Rascal Jester right now.
But they haven't on TGA because Arya went for a massive flank, and half the health bars are just gone on the supporting jungler. Nap's not healed back up either. He just takes 1 Infernum and another quarter of his health bar spin.
Oh, the turret!
The turret! Oh, that is heartbreak for Grendel, who just goes down to a Gravitum. Ninja's in the front line taking damn all damage. Yoshi goes up and goes golden. It's stylish, but it's just a statue before he dies. The Pop Blossom is there, and Pop goes Game 1 for CGA, and that'll be pretty much an ace post this Guardian Angel. Teleport in to end. GG. Rascal Jesters Game 1.
So we thought this would be close, and close it was for a lot of it, but really it was Rascal Jester that were in control. A couple of kills on the top side made us question whether they could do it, but with the early game snowball from Hachimecha set up by the Olaf onto Yoshi here, and the team fights going the way of Rascal Jester, Game 1 indeed goes the way of the blue team.
And Grendel, couple of kills early. Actually played this game okay. That last hook miss was so upsetting. You gotta feel for the man there as the game ends, as the Nexus finally goes down. But this time, Yoshi getting caught out a couple times. Hachimecha, better of him that game.
Yeah, and Arya not really able to find the openings we normally see of him. So, Game 1 is over. Rascal Jester extending their lead, their head-to-head against CGA to 3-0 in this split. Mass 1, what are your thoughts?
I said it once as a caster, and I'll say it again. Don't play Akali.
He seems to have a thing about this.
Don't play the champ since they gutted her. Let's be real, right? Arya has a church. The LJL, officially unofficial cast, has announced that Arya has a church. and Boogie is the prophet, right? It's kind of like Lord Hexy, if everyone remembers the Twitch Plays Pokemon sort of thing. But Jesus was the prophet.
Praise Helix.
Praise Helix, it's Praise Aria. Boogie is the prophet. Boogie is Bird Jesus. It kind of all fits in.
Yeah, good, yeah.
Problem is, Bird Jesus is the prophet, right? And if you put God himself on a garbage champ, doesn't matter. God is not a miracle worker when the champ is garbage. I'm sorry, I'm not blaming the player here. I'm not even blaming Aria here, I'm just blaming the champ. I hate Akali, and I'm glad they've gutted her, and I'm glad that she's basically gone on a can't win streak. I'm happy.
Okay, so in defense of the Akali, I feel like he did have some very close team fights to being turned around.
Oh,
I think
sure.
that he was pretty unlucky in that one dragon fight where he missed time the Zonyas.
50
And
HP.
like, also the vision control was not really properly set up around that. Rascal Jester, on the whole, they played much better as a team. I think that Gango and Adia, on the whole, had okay individual performances, but this time it was Nap really pulling out all the stops in the top lane, but it just wasn't enough to be... Rascal Jester didn't allow CJ to play around side lanes. They forced so hard with the Olaf, you could never get an isolated side lane. It's not a clean victory, but it is a victory that wasn't really in doubt after a certain while.
It was a good victory, and that's kind of what I came away from with Jess in this first game. It's an experienced roster who know how to play to their game, know how to play to their win conditions, and know how to mitigate when things are going wrong. And that's a real strength. And we saw that with Cog kind of getting a little bit in a dodgy position, but actually their fights around dragons, their vision control, Ninja's good play on the Ornn, Art just finding the kill.
Yeah.
It was really good stuff.
I really want to applaud Art. Art arguably is having one of their top games, or playing on their top form at the moment. And Art in their top form, with Vivid supporting, with Ninja playing such a wide range of champions in the mid lane. It's just honestly beautiful to watch this Rascal Jester team. Hachimecha can play aggro junglers, but also supportive junglers. And Cog, frankly, I actually think they had a really good game because they were very integral into a lot of the team fights. Early game, questionable, but the mid game and team fights was like, basically he was getting 3-man ults on Nico, which is really good.
We'll call it sticking the landing. We'll call it sticking the
Yeah,
landing.
I like that because Nico literally sticks a landing.
And definitely took a tumble though. Did go
Yeah,
like
God damn
0-3.
it.
And that first team fight where Aria managed to find, kill the Nico before the pop blossom came up. That's when I was worried, because as soon as like you start getting those fights go against you, and then you have like these really high damage solo laners kind of coming out. That's when things can go against you. But I think that Art, as you were saying, we do need to praise him. He has been Mr. Consistent for Rascal Jester throughout the entire split. If he plays in this form and continues to be this backline DPS threat, he's gonna be those turrets in the end of the game.
Oh,
That was zoning mastery.
That turret to stop the Flash Nautilus dredge line made me sad. Like, I detest Nautilus as a champion at the minute. He's so anti-fun.
But that one's sad.
But that one was sad. I was there with him. And actually, I quite liked the Jester's team comp. I liked how it worked out.
I love the flex between the Nico and the Ornn.
Yeah,
I think that's the key thing
that
for
was
me.
really good. But
That
the
was
zone
really
control
good.
Between the Tangle Barbs and the dark binding, between the Ornn being at the front line, and also like the Twin Shadows to keep vision on things like REA trying to find flanks. You can't walk into that. The moment they get vision control, there's so much like easy CC available from such a long range. It's so obnoxious.
It was just really impressive to just watch the performance of the whole team just kind of come together. This is a continuation of the team from the last few weeks, where in episode 6 of the podcast, where I'm saying put a pin in this. Rascal Jesters, they seem to have been
stuck the whole damn sword in.
They just gone. They're like, we got multiple pins everywhere, and if we put the string across all of them, it says we win versus CGA.
And also, all the pins are just in CGA right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's like a voodoo doll, but it's like they're like, stop hitting
They're
yourself,
actually
stop
just-
hitting yourself.
This is not acupuncture, this is pain.
Yeah.
This is true pain. Okay, well, okay. So I think we're all done.
I was like, no, I'm gonna leave that there.
I was like,
It's fine.
okay, nope,
You
sounds
deflated
done.
the end of that quite well.
Perfectly. Well, with that all said, that's going to be us for our first matchup of Rascal Jesters facing off against Crest Gaming out. Rascal Jesters taking that first game. We're going to have a very short break, but don't go away. We'll be back very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching. You're clear.